Okay, so now you can, as Megan mentioned, we have some practice assessments. If you need more time for practice assessments, I can conduct another day, maybe just for practice assessments, maybe sometime next week. We will, by the end of the course, you will know whether you would want more practice assessments. So this is the main link that you can go through, and here you have a self-paced way to prepare, which you can go into these ones, into these links, and then prepare yourself. So these are the four that I'm going to cover. This will be what you are attending now is the instructor led, but it will be the same thing, but I'll be uh, doing along with you the labs and stuff. So now, oh, can you see that? Maybe you are not able to see. I'm just going to share the entire screen. Okay, so this is the one that I was talking about. Okay, now let's go to the presentation. So main course objectives, as I showed you, will be to know more about artificial intelligence workloads and considerations, fundamental principles of machine learning on Azure, features of computer vision workloads on Azure, and features of NLP, which is the natural language processing workloads on Azure. So these four will be covered. First two will be covered today, and next two will be covered tomorrow. So these are the modules. So for each of the modules, we will have labs, and we all can do the labs. I just want to do a quick check. How many of you will be hands on doing the lab while I am doing the lab? Are ready to do that? That will require a um, Azure subscription, or if you have a student account, student email, you can sign up for a free subscription. So how many of you are ready for that? Just want to have a look. Maybe if you can raise your hands, please. Yeah, yes. And anyone else? Because I will be doing it and I'll be giving you the instructions as well. So yeah, two, Swati, yes. And who else is there? Peer tutor. Okay. Who is peer tutor? Can you name, please? What's your name? And Anasuya. Yeah, that's good. Okay, four of you are ready. What about the rest? Pranita, Stephen, Jane, Harisudha, Kashmira, or are all of you not ready? Even if you're not ready, you can just watch me do it, and then maybe because I'm recording, you can do it in your own pace as well. So now you can bring your hands down unless you have any questions. Priya, you don't have a subscription, but do you have a do you have a work account or a school account? You can create a free trial. Divya, yeah, what's your question? Okay, if you don't have a subscription, what you can do is, if you have a work account or student account, what you can do is you can log into that, and then I can show you how to create a free subscription. Okay, so three of you don't have. Maybe we will, if you have a work account or school account, then you will be fine. Otherwise, just watch me do it. Okay, so that you will just understand um, what it entails. Okay, so now let's go to dive into the module one, explore fundamentals of artificial intelligence. And if you want, I am not in a position to see the chat. So if you want to ask any question, can you please either unmute yourself and answer, or maybe raise your hand. Maybe if you raise your hand, maybe um, I can see. I'm not sure, but yeah, I will try and pause in between and see if you have any questions. So now, first one is, in this module, the very first module, we will understand what artificial intelligence is, and also what kind of artificial intelligence framework is there in Microsoft Azure. So the main goal of this lesson is to introduce some fundamental high level concepts, so which we will explore in greater depth later in this course. Okay, so lesson 1 is introduction to um, artificial intelligence. So now, what is artificial intelligence? Can anyone tell me? Unmute and you can tell. Anyone can tell me. The answer is already there in the screen. I want this to be interactive, so your participation will mean a lot, and you will understand as well. What is artificial intelligence? No one is willing to share. Okay, that's okay, no problem. So what is artificial intelligence is, um, these days we are hearing a lot of AI, Gen AI, and Chat GPT, and all sorts of things, right? So these are all things that most humans do on a day to day basis, of and often subconsciously. So what we do is we make predictions or recognize patterns based on historic data. So from time immemorial, our ancestors also used to see the sun and the clouds, and they used to predict when it will rain and when it will not rain and things like that. So we have been doing these things, and we can intuitively know when something isn't quite right and doesn't fit an expected pattern. And also we use sight to experience the world visually, so recognize the abnormal events and make decisions. So we communicate by writing and speaking and engage in dynamic conversations, responding appropriately, right? So that is the understanding language and engaging in conversations. And we can extract information from multiple sources to extend our own knowledge. So we try and see this news, that news, and try and gain knowledge. So that's the software that imitates. Artificial intelligence is nothing but the software that imitates human capability. Now, the next one is, what are the common in artificial intelligence workloads? So the 25 to 30% of the questions will be from these ones. So what are the common artificial AI workloads? So these are the common ones. So machine learning, anomaly detection, computer vision, natural language processing, knowledge mining. Now, for example, imagine a conversational AI solution that uses a bot to process, let's say, an auto insurance claim. The bot relies on some natural language processing capabilities, because we are going to use, as a human, we are going to use the bot, and then we are going to ask some questions. And what does that entail? It entails use of some natural language processing capabilities to make sense of so why do we do natural language processing is to make sense of some input, such as, I want to submit a claim. Okay, and it may allow users to send a photograph of a damaged vehicle, or use computer vision to assess the damage. So once you submit the photograph, then the computer vision is the workload that is used to assess the damage. So based on the computer vision, whether it is damaged or not, and then it assesses, and then what happens is, then we can apply the machine learning model to predict the likely repair costs. That can be a scenario. So car has been damaged, and as a user, you send the bot a damaged picture. Then the damaged picture will be analyzed using the computer vision, and then on top of that, the machine learning will be applied to predict what can be the repair costs for this kind of damage. So the bot might also use anomaly detection sometimes to identify. Sometimes you may upload a fraudulent image and try to claim. So for that, there is what is called anomaly detection. Finally, the claims data, and including forms, they have the insurance firm has some forms to be filled, so they will be filled, and then photographs and other artifacts will be collected, and then these will be indexed to gain insights, and that's where the knowledge mining comes into play. And then we can create a searchable knowledge store to help manage future claims. So did everyone get it? How it's just an example that I have given, how each one of these workloads can help a insurance auto insurance organization. Any questions so far? If you have questions, just okay, there is something in the chat. Don't have a subscription. Okay. Yeah. uh, okay, so that's the workloads. So now there are about 6 principles of responsible AI. Okay, before we go there, what is responsible AI? uh, a responsible AI, uh, when we use the artificial intelligence capability responsibly, that's when it is called responsible AI. We are using the AI in a responsible manner. AI can be destructive as well. Just remember that, because there are a lot of debates and discussions going on with the new generative AI that has been released. Like for example, ChatGPT has been released, and if we release that to schools, what will happen? Everything, the students won't learn everything. The ChatGPT answers their questions, and there won't be any knowledge with the students, with the school students. So that kind of stuff. So what are the principles for being responsible? First thing is fairness. So AI systems need to be fair. So there, what is meant by fair? Fair means you should not have any bias. As humans, we tend to have bias. For example, if you have maybe 5 or 6 kids, and the mother might tend to have a bias towards particular, maybe 1 or 2 kids, uh, so that they sometimes, what happens is the mother will take side of the uh, favorite child. So what in responsible AI, we should not be having bias. Because if you have bias, that can affect the results. So example is a loan approval model discriminates by gender. So if it discriminates by gender, all females will not get any loan approved. For example, so if it is trained, it depends on the of the training that occurred, the training data set that is there in the model as well. So if we use 70% male data, men data, and 30% female, then there will be bias. So when you are training the model as well, make sure that you are not introducing bias. And the next principle is reliability and safety. So sometimes errors may cause harm. So for example, if you have a self-driving car, and if there are some components that are some principles that are not trained properly, which that will result in a system failure. And if it fails, then it might cause a collision, and it might cause harm. So make sure that your AI systems are reliable and safe to use. Now, the next one is privacy and security. This is a lot of there is a lot of importance in this privacy and security, because you have lot of particularly in the healthcare sector, and also government organizations, where data if data is exposed, then there is a lot of harm that happens. An example here that is quoted is a medical diagnostic bot is trained using sensitive patient data, and wh- because patient data is sensitive, we need to have private and secure AI systems, so that it is not exposed, the sensitive patient data is not exposed. That is the third principle of privacy and security. We will do some of the questions under in this later on in the day. And then next one is inclusiveness. Inclusiveness is sometimes solutions may not work for everyone. So for example, um, there is you have developed a predictive app which is only audio based, and if that is the case, we this will not include the people who are visually impaired. So that means you are not using the principle of inclusiveness. So that's one example. And the other principle is transparency. So users must trust your AI app. Otherwise, uh, otherwise there will not be adoption of the AI system as well. So an AI example is an AI based financial tool makes investment recommendations, and what are the recommendations based on, so that those principles need to be transparent. Otherwise users will not use it because they don't know what are the mm, principles, or what are the policies that are being that are based on for the investment recommendations. And the last principle is accountability. So, who is liable if the AI driven decisions fail? So, who is responsible? Who is accountable? Is the you need to define the accountability as well for the AI app. So, for example, an innocent person is convicted of a crime based on evidence of facial recognition. If the face matches, for example, mother, daughter have the same face and similar face, and if the app is used, and if the instead of the mother, if the daughter if the facial recognition recognizes the daughter's face as well, then who is responsible? So that kind of uh, thinking also should be there. So these are the all the principles. So remember, one is fairness, the other one is reliability and safety, privacy and security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. You will have questions in your exam in these parts. At least three questions will be there from this slide. But it won't be as it is. They will give an example and then say which principle is applicable here. So that kind of stuff. Any questions so far? Let me know if you have any questions. Let me check the chat. Are you having issues with Teams? Kajal, are you having issue? Okay, so if you all don't have, then must be it's just Kajal who is having issues.
No, I seems like it's working now.
Oh, okay,
Just checking. Hi, Indira. Sorry,
that's okay. No
was
worries.
just
Yeah.
trying earlier a couple of times and was
Okay.
not getting the chat window. So that's why I left a message. So you guys see my message, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. We can see your
Okay.
message. Yeah,
Cool. Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay,
Thanks.
okay. No worries. Yeah. Okay, let's proceed further. So now lesson two is the artificial intelligence in Microsoft Azure. Okay, what do we learn here? You can see some of the things, right? So what we learn here is Azure basics. So here you at the outset you have a subscription. Okay, and once you have a subscription, then what you can do is you can create a resource group. We will be doing all this in the first lab, and then underneath the resource group we will start creating the resources, and the resources can be computer vision resource, anomaly detector resource, Azure Machine Learning resource, a lot of resources, all the resources that are available in Azure, we can create underneath the resource group. So that is the actual structure of this one. Um, and have you all heard, how many of you have heard about subscriptions and resource groups and resources? Yeah, Corina, very good. Yeah, and who else have heard? Okay, Aya has heard. Ansapriya has heard. Okay, and peer tutor. I don't know what your name is, peer tutor. Sorry, I'm calling you peer tutor. Yes, Rani. Yes, very good. And okay, Navneet Kaur, you did not hear. Okay, if you did not hear, I will show you today so that you can have a look and then understand what it is. Okay, so now let's go and here. Um, so this is subscription resource group and resources, and which is scalable and Azure is a scalable and reliable cloud platform. What and it also has a data storage where you can store files of different formats, Excel files, CSV files, Parquet files, you name it, you can store it in the data storage. And here in Azure or in any cloud based platform, you have data storage and compute as different services, because you will hear a lot of the word compute a lot, because compute is the one, it is like a system power. uh, when you run something, when you are trying to build a machine learning model, that will all be using the data storage. But when you are trying to run the code that you have used, that's when the compute is used. So you need here in the cloud platform, the data storage and compute are separate. So uh, you need to use compute, and you will see in the Azure machine learning we will create a compute as well so that you run it. So that's Azure basics. Now what are the services that we are going to use in this Azure AI fundamentals course? There are a lot of services, but what are the AI services? So these are the AI services: Azure machine learning, cognitive services, Azure bot service, and Azure cognitive search. These days Azure cognitive search is becoming very important. The reason being, you have heard about the generative AI that is being used, and you have heard about the chat GPT that has been launched. What is it doing? What it is doing is it is when you store some documents, you need to be able to search and see and get some results, so that you don't have to go into the storage and then try and search where the document is. When you use Azure cognitive search, what happens is data is extracted based on what you give. So for example, I upload a document, a PDF document or a Word document, or a few documents, and then you want the document that has a particular word. So for example, I am trying to find who are all the people who have let's say malaria. So this is of course sensitive information. So these all the documents, all the diagnosis documents have been uploaded into cloud somewhere. Azure Cognitive Search can be used to search for word malaria, and then you get all the documents that have the word malaria, and then it will give you the link to the documents as well. So that is the role of Azure Cognitive Search, and this has developed very um, this has developed a lot in the last few years. And if you go to Azure Machine Learning, this is a platform where you train and deploy machine learning models. We will dive deeper into Azure Machine Learning. I think it will be the lab is today. And cognitive services. In the cognitive services, there are a lot of cognitive services under these four main pillars: vision services, speech services, language decision. So these are the four. pillars, and underneath each one, under vision you have computer vision, custom vision, and so on. And you have under speech, you have text to speech, speech to text, uh, uh, service and other services. And language, you have text analytics, keyword extraction, sentiment analysis, those kind of stuff. Now Azure bot service is something like where you, like a chat bot. When you ask something, it responds with some questions, and these also need to be trained. So these are the AI services. There are a lot of other services available, but in Microsoft Azure, these are the main AI services that are available. So coming to cognitive services, this is a AI application resource in a, again, as I mentioned, it's an Azure. In it you can create cognitive services, which is a resource in Azure subscription. So standalone resources for specific services under those four pillars that I have mentioned here. So this is the subscription, and you have a key and a endpoint. This will be the endpoint, which starts with HTTPS. We will be using all this, so I'm just introducing you to some terms so that you know what this is. So there is a key here. So you need, for once you stand up the service, you can use the service from Azure with the in the form of an API, as long as you have the endpoint which starts with HTTPS and a key. Key is I think a 24 alphabet word or something like that. I'll show you where to find as well. And these can be consumed by the REST endpoint and an authentication key, right? Okay, now let's do the first lab. Do you want to take a 5-minute break, or whoever wants to? I'll copy this one. Uh, Whoever wants to do the lab along with me, I am just going to go into chat and then paste this one. Okay, what is indexing? Very good question, Stefan. Okay, so now I'll explain you what indexing is. For example, if you, I don't know whether you have used some databases or anything like that. When you have lot of documents, for the search to occur, the documents need to be indexed. So for example, let's do this. Let's imagine a library. Okay, you have a lot of books, and if you want to go and pick a particular book, those need to be indexed, right? So for example, children's books will be in one area, and fiction books will be in one area, non-fiction books will be in one area, science books will be in one area, technology books will be in one area, language books will be in one area. So that, what is it that we are doing there? We are doing some sort of indexing. So we are indexing in the sense we are classifying, these books belong here, these books belong here, these books belong here. Likewise, indexing in cognitive search is also similar. So when you upload the documents, what happens is it goes through Azure Cognitive Search, goes through the documents and indexes itself, so that it is ready to give the responses when we ask the questions. Uh, so did you get that, Stefan? You can come off unmute if you want. Okay, so any other questions you can ask? Yeah, I think we will have a 10-minute coffee break, and we will start at 10:05. Okay, I will just stop the recording now and then restart the recording again. If I don't start, can you please remind me?